To have passion in life is everything.
What's your Everest?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
that 200-inch buck?
They just look so impressive when they're wide.
Especially running away.
Welcome to this week's episode of Eastmans Elevated.
It's like a think tank for outdoor activity.
Sounds exactly like my hunting. Just always thinking about it, always trying to evolve it and make it better.
Here's your host, Brian Barney.
Hey guys, what's happening? I got a brand new podcast for you. So this week I have on Logan Summers. So Logan's a buddy of mine. I met him through shooting TAC, the Total Archery Challenge, one year, and we shot together, and we just kind of kept in touch. And he's always been really interested in the filming and photography, and so we teamed up on this Nevada hunt. He came with me and filmed it for me, and so we just sat down right after the hunt and recorded this podcast just about Nevada, the hunting we did, and some of the stuff that we captured. He's just a super guy. He has a great attitude, always in a good mood, always willing to go for it. He's tough as nails, can hike really strong, and so we just recorded this podcast all about this Nevada hunt. I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy when these hunts are fresh in my mind. This is the day after we harvested that buck in Nevada. And so we just kind of go through and tell our story and things we learned and the reasons why we shot that buck. I mean, patience always kills the buck. You'll hear me say that a few times in the podcast. But just a really fun hunt, really fun stalk, and fun time with Logan. I really enjoyed laying this podcast down. I think you guys will enjoy it too. Sponsor for today's show is Eberly Stock Packs. So I've been using Eberly Stock exclusive here for the last couple of years. I really like their packs. I've been using their little big top. It's one of their lighter weight packs, and I've been using that for anywhere from a day hunt to a 5-day trip, and I could even fit a couple more days into it if need be. And then I can also get the buck out once I'm in there. That go out light, come out heavy. For this Colorado trip, I'm actually leaving here today for Colorado. I'm going to use their bigger pack, their Destroyer. It's just better for expedition style hunts. You know, you can get more cubic inches in it, packs heavier loads a little bit better. Just going to be a great pack. So I'm really excited to use that on this trip. And then I also got one of their day packs that I'm going to try out. It's their kite pack, and excited to put it to use. I haven't used it yet, but I've been through the pack. Really well designed, and Eberly Stock just does such a great job of putting the utmost quality into their packs. They stand behind their products. They've got a warranty department, which is pretty much just another guy filling in. They don't have too many warranties to fix just because they build their packs so well. Glenn Eberly just did a response video. There was a company that came out with a video that kind of broke a frame or something like that purposely broke a frame. And Glenn Eberly made a response video. It's just great. You guys have to check it out. He made this response video where they stuck 700 pounds in one of his packs. They have it set up just like somebody would be wearing it, and then they stack 700 pounds on this pack just to show how tough their packs are. And Glenn Eberly just does a great job on the response video of addressing things and explaining their packs. But it's a great video. Go check it out at Eberly Stock. And thanks to those guys for sponsoring the podcast. And with that, get this podcast out to you guys. And I'm going to get on the road and get down to Colorado. Man, am I pumped. Yeah. High country mule deer hunting, it just comes and goes so quick, but this is my big go for it. Got a really killer spot there, and it's a backpack style hunt, which I just love. It's going to be grueling and tough, and it's going to take everything I have to harvest a nice mule deer there, and I just can't wait for the challenge. I've been waiting for this all year long, so I'm really excited for this one. So I'm going to get this podcast finished up, get this out to you guys, and then get on the road here. Over there at Eastmans, everybody's keeping really busy. Everybody's got their hunts they're on. I just recorded a really good podcast with Ike all about antelope, and he's an antelope fanatic. Just a great one about bow hunting them. Talk about rifle hunting them a little bit, but just their different tendencies and just how much fun that hunt is and how much it improves your hunting skills. So great podcast. That one will be coming up. I got some good ones I've been recording, some good ones lined up I'm going to do here when I get back from Colorado and just keep this content coming to you guys. So let's get this thing rolling. So this is me and Logan Summers. We're going over our Nevada hunt and how it went, and there's tons of information in this one. I always learn so much when it's fresh in my head about the stock, and some of these lessons you just have to learn over and over before they stick. So anyways, great podcast. Here you go, guys. Eastmans Elevated. Okay, I'm live here with Logan Summers. We're sitting at my house uploading pictures and videos. We just finished up this Nevada backpack trip. Man, what a trip. How much fun was that?
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, man, we went for it out there.
Yeah, we sure did.
Never easy, but spoiler alert, we did get a deer.
Yeah, somehow.
Gosh, it just always seems on these hunts that the odds are stacked against you. Like it's always tougher than you think, and I always say that. It's like a catchphrase for me, but you just get there. It's a brand new mountain range. I've never hunted it before, and so we just show up. I guess we'll start from the beginning. So, you came and took photos for me and took video. Man, you're an awesome photographer and videographer.
Thank you.
Just did an awesome job, and I think your biggest asset too is your attitude.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of those things where you just got to slowly grind at it, just chip away slowly. So.
Yeah, well, and that positive attitude, like I think it serves you so well, in all facets and everything you do in life, from your business to your photography. You were in the Air Force, you just have this mindset where you keep positive and negative things happen, and it just doesn't seem to bother you because bow hunting, it takes you to your highest highs, but that's only because it's so challenging and so difficult, and it also takes you to your lowest lows. Like you're failing on stocks, and you're putting in, a bunch of miles in the backcountry. You're just grinding in the heat out there. We called ourselves desert rats. I think that'll be the title of the podcast.
Yeah, this felt dirty the whole time. Like no matter what you did, you wiped your face down, and 5 minutes later you were just covered in dirt again.
I know it. Yep, sleeping in the dirt, but gosh, there's just no place I'd rather be. Like, I love those bow hunting adventures. So you came down to the house. We got all our gear all set up. I think we got about $20,000 worth of gear sitting on the table and in the truck as we're traveling down, maybe more. It's amazing what you need to kill a deer. Not that you need all that stuff, but just so much camera gear and then you got your optics and your bow, and you got a lot invested in these things, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, you don't realize until you, whenever you get bored one day and you're just, sitting there counting stuff, and you're like, holy cow, this got expensive quick, but...
Labor of love, though.
Yeah, labor of love.
Yeah. But so you showed up here at the house. Gosh, I had to get some work done and a podcast out. And then I had messed up on so you were going to be down here at noon. It's just always tough to get out of town.
Yeah.
I am always so stressed out trying to leave on a hunting trip.
On time.
Like that's the worst for me. It's just trying to make sure that I've got everything handled with my family, everything handled, at work. And so that's what I was doing. We were supposed to take off, and I had to do a podcast and upload that, and I was just running behind. So you were here at noon. I think we finally got out of town at about 4 o'clock, and then I had to turn back around and come back to the house to edit a podcast.
Yeah, and fix. That's what we got. 10 minutes down the road, and we're like, oh crap! I got
the intro wrong, pronunciation on somebody's last name. I thought I had it right and had asked them, but I had messed it up, so I had to come back. And I think it's important when you're leaving on these things to just get all your loose ends tied up, so then you can immerse yourself in the hunt, and you're not thinking about, oh, I need to call him, or oh, I need to take care of this. And so that's what I was doing, and you were patient with me.
Oh, I wasn't worried about it. That's what I didn't have. I had all my loose ends tied up, so I didn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, you did. You tied up all your loose ends. You're on a hiatus here for a couple months, huh?
Yeah. That's what I live in Tennessee, and I own a landscape company there, and then I come out here in the fall and photograph and video. So
yeah, and you were stationed out here is how we met.
Yep.
We shot at TAC a couple years back, and we've kept in touch.
Yep.
And then this year we're teaming up, and man, we made a great team. I think we built an awesome film.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. So.
Oh man, we're just going through some of the footage and pictures now, but yeah, you are just so skilled behind the lens. It's fun to team up and put that all together. So we show up. I finally get my work done, only about 5 hours late. And we take off and get down to the desert. So just start making the trip down, and then we stop at about 1 or 2 in the morning, and then just sleep on the side of the road and some pull out. Like, it's when I go on these hunts, I never get a hotel, like, ever. You know, I always, like, once I'm on the hunt, I'm sleeping in the dirt or sleeping in the truck or whatever it takes. So it's important too not to push too far, too hard. Like that drowsy driving
is worse than anything.
And we pushed last night. We kept it safe, but at one point I did have a shadow figure coming at me where I slammed on the brakes. Where we had just been driving and it was the middle of the night, and your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
And I hadn't lost that focus yet, but all of a sudden I saw this shadow figure coming from the road. Well, and we actually started our trip. We were driving down the road, and I spotted a deer that was freaking out on the side of the road. Like, this was going down. And I said, that car is going to hit this deer. And there was this Subaru just
cruising, not even noticing it.
They Captain Oblivious. They had no clue. And so they were driving 70 miles an hour in front of us and just tagged a deer right in front of us. Spun it off their car out there. I don't think they did much damage, but a plastic part or whatever, and they were okay. But, hit a deer right in front of us to start the trip.
Yeah, that's what I was – and then even that elk last night, and I was like, oh, crap. I didn't even see the one on the right side, so I'm glad that you were more in focus than I was. Because I was – every time we'd pass, like, a stop sign, it would reflect on the ground. I was like – I was just thinking there was animals in the road the whole time. So
your mind was starting to play tricks on you too.
I was way gone, way past what your focus was. So.
Yeah, we split the herd at one point. Had an elk on the left, elk on the right, and who knows where the rest of the herd were. But and really when you think about it, like one of the most dangerous things you do is traveling to and from a hunt. Like you don't think of it that way because you're thinking about the backcountry and getting back there, and you're thinking of all the dangers back there. But really, probably the most dangerous part is traveling to and from a hunt. So you really got to make sure you keep it safe when you're doing it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, especially late winter. Most people don't realize, like, this is not that bad, but later winter in the Montana is like you better have change and ropes and everything because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is you are relying upon your vehicle. Like, you got to have all those backups in place. So, I've told you guys before, like, I've got a tire repair kit because you could be 100 miles back on a gravel road somewhere. I've also got a small compressor that'll fill my tires full of air. Like in Alaska, I had to fix 2 tires down that haul road. And jumper cables. See, what else do you have in your rig? You should always have your sleeping stuff in there, of course. Enough, like wintertime driving, like in my wife's rig and stuff, you got to make sure they have enough clothes and things in there. Yeah. But we made it down, so we slept that night in the desert and drove the rest of the way in the morning. And so we got to the unit. Like I told you guys, I didn't have time to scout this summer. It was just a mountain range where I had to kind of e-scout it. And so I didn't really know what we were getting into. I knew kind of what it looks like, but it always looks different when you get there.
Oh, yeah. That's what I've never seen really anything like that. Just a valley floor at 5,800 feet, and then it goes to 10,000, and you're just like, or 9,800, you're just like looking straight up. You're like, oh, Lord.
Well, and we underestimated it at one point. Like, so we get there, and just like any place, like I'm just trying to get a feel for it. And so, we see the first really good muley feature up there, and so we pull off the road, we start glassing. I don't think we picked out any deer, but then we drove another 3 or 4 miles down the road. I said, oh, look at that feature. And, we're starting to get excited and look at it. And so we throw our glass up there and we start picking it apart. And it's a long ways off, longer than, what do you think, 3-4 miles, maybe more?
Yeah. Well, that's what we were laughing about is we were talking about how big deer were. And I was just like, oh, they're about that big,
Little tiny ants.
Yeah,
up
they
there
were like
on the
little,
hill.
like I've never, and then even some of the ones we glassed later that day, you're just like, they were literally just like specks.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like moving specks across those feeding features. I was just like, what in the world are we getting ourselves into? But
man, that glassing skill, like it's so underestimated, but to find a big buck, you have to glass one up first, and those muleys are so tough to glass, but it's a real art glassing and picking out animals, and just over time you just get better and better at it. But we were looking a long ways off. there's no way you could see a deer through binos. It was all spotting scope, tripoded up. And so the second spot we stopped, we looked up there, and I spotted some deer, and we looked at them, and they're all does and fawns. And so that made us kind of hang around a little bit more. We actually, like you were good about getting the chairs out and like, hey, let's just set up here and spend 10, 15 minutes. And after we saw those first deer, we started panning around, and it was really getting to late morning where you're not going to see every deer up there. We were just hoping to maybe catch one moving to his second bed or just getting ready to bed down. And then we turned up some bucks.
Yeah, that was one of those things that was kind of not really the better thing about it, but the best idea on how to hunt that mountain range, because you could have walked. There were small groups of lots of deer, and you could have walked miles and miles and miles and not seen anything. Whenever you can just not really ride around, but just work that road and look up on top and see where they're at, and then make a game plan from there.
Yeah, vehicles are a huge advantage when scouting. Like you say, when you're hiking in someplace, you're covering a mile at a time, one basin at a time. Yeah. But for scouting and getting a feel of an area, and we hunt a lot of places in Montana that are vast, like hundreds of square miles. Yeah. And there's a lot of country that's void of animals or void of bucks. Those bucks, they find basins that they like. So, yeah, that's kind of what we were doing, is just getting a feel for the unit. And when you're glassing from afar like that, like it really lays out to you. And the way this range worked, it is, laid out to us where we could glass, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 square miles from one position. It was a long ways off, and you're not going to see every deer. But you're going to start to pick out some deer and get a feel for what they like, and then you can kind of transpose that information to find other good areas. And so we looked up there, and we spotted, I think it was 13 bucks up there.
Yeah, which I thought was just like the wildest. This 13 right together, and you're like, holy cow, they just kept feeding out, and you're like, oh, there's more deer. Oh, there's a couple more, so.
Yep, and you don't leave bucks to find bucks, and I had a trailhead I wanted to get to, but it was like we couldn't drive away from bucks that we had just located, and we didn't get to look at them too long. And it was so far away. We could see frames at one point, barely, but you could hardly tell what they were.
Oh, yeah. At that far, they just look like ants.
Yep. So we knew there were bucks, and it was like, man, I don't want to drive another 10 miles down this range and go in some place where I don't know there's bucks. Like, we should probably take a better look at these things and see what they're doing. And so our plan was to load up all our gear and backpack in. But, on these hunts, like you have to be able to adapt to the circumstances you're given, or adapt to the situation. And so all of a sudden we see these bucks, and it's like, well, I don't know if we want to backpack in here. Like, let's just go get a closer look at these bucks. Let's go in light, and we'll go climb up there.
Yep.
We'll be there in an hour, right?
Yeah. That's what the thought was, because the way it looked, you're like, oh, we'll just get on this ridge, and then we'll go up, and we'll cross this little valley, and then we'll be right there on top of them. And it was just like 5 hours later, you're like, what in the world is going on? Because it just slowly, it just got steeper and steeper, and then you couldn't see the top. And at one point, you couldn't see the top and the bottom, and I was like, what? And where are we at?
Yeah, it was a climb, and it was it's hot down there,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
August 10th opener, like we were a few days behind, like maybe the 14th, 15th, something like that, but it was hot. It's 85 degrees, it's dry, you're sweating, you're working hard, and so, we went in there light, relatively light. My day packs are ridiculous. It's not that we had that much, it's just, when you got, good water, like you go through more water in that heat, especially when you're working hard, and we wanted to make sure that we had enough, and we also had enough to camp over for the night. Like it wouldn't have been comfortable, but I didn't know if we were going to have to live on those bucks, and so we actually, we were just going to sleep in our puffy pants and puffy jackets up there and kind of just rough it up there, but we had to have enough water to be able to stay up there 2 days, and then enough food, and so our hour-long journey, or I thought it'd take us an hour and a half, and we'd cruise up there, but pretty soon we're 5 hours into it. Storms building, all of a sudden, out of the frying pan into the fire.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, you're just starting on the hunt, and just all of a sudden the challenges start to come, and we had climbed that ridge, got our elevation, and then we didn't make the top ridge. There was thunder and lightning storms coming over. Winds were shifting, and so we thought, well, we'll just side hill over there. No big deal. It's a couple drainages over. And, man, we side hilled for miles through that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't realize how far it was until we actually got back down to that main road. And I'm like, oh, we just started right there. And then I started looking. I'm like, oh, no, we went way further than we thought. Because, I mean, once you get going on there, you just don't even really think about it. And then next thing you know, your 4 drainage is over and you're 4 miles away from the truck, and the truck looks like just a little speck. And I'm like, oh, Brian, hey, are we staying all night up here, or like we heading back to the truck? Because if we're heading back to the truck, we got a long way to go in the dark. But
right. Well, and that off trail too takes so much more exertion. Just trying to keep your balance on that loose rock, and then steep side hills. And the ground is so freaking hot. And then that side hilling, we started to we call it hot dogs, and it's where the bottom of your feet just start to get so hot from just rubbing in there. And my feet are as tough as they come, but my feet were on fire too.
My feet are not as tough as they come, and they were burning up the whole time. And we finally figured out it was just, we thought it was, maybe a shoe issue or a sock issue or how tight your boots were or something, and it wasn't. It was just the ground was that hot. It was just soaking up that much.
Yeah, the ground.
That much heat.
Yeah, the ground's like 150 degrees. You can hardly touch it.
Oh yeah, especially when we were making that stock and that buck, man. I was just like, my hands were just like burning just from like crawling in, and you're like, I was digging holes over there to try to get just away from some of the, like trying to get down like one of buck beds. You know how they dig a little hole out? That's what I was doing, but it's just for my hands and my knees because it was getting pretty rough.
Oh, brutal, right? And so we kind of side hill over to where these bucks should be, and we're trying to play the wind. The thunderstorm's coming in. It's just not the right condition. So we get over to this buck, and so we decide to go low. The thermals start dropping because the storm that came in, and so we just want to get an eye on these bucks and just get a scope on them, just see if there's a good shooter in there.
Yeah.
We start coming around low, and then we jump a doe out that we didn't see. She blows at us, and so finally we just decide we got to back out of here. We're going to spook these bucks out of here, and so we make the big loop back around to the truck and get there. We decide not to stay the night up there, get back to the truck, and so then we make camp. Next day, we go and glass some new country kind of to start the morning off. We spot some bucks and some does. Never really find a good population, never really find a big shooter buck. I think we spotted like a group of 3 of them up there.
Yeah.
They're not everywhere, but the mountain definitely holds deer.
Yeah.
So we decide to go back. It's getting to be later morning. The sun's been up for a couple hours, and so we decide to go back to that spot and look for those bucks again. And sure enough, we park and we look up there and we find all those bucks. And now they're at the tip top of the mountain, and they're 10,000 feet or close to it right there, and they're working those trees. And we got a little bit better look at them then, and we could see a couple frames on those bucks and see, there's a couple decent ones in there we need to take a better look at.
Yeah, that's what I was. Whenever you can see frame at 5 or 4 miles, line of sight was probably 4 miles, and you could see frame. I was like, we got to figure out a way to get up there.
Yep. And so we decided not to go in the same way we went in. We started working our Onyx and started looking for a better access. And on the other side of the mountain, there was a road that gained us another 1,000 feet elevation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I owe those guys at Onyx, because they saved me. Because I don't know if we could have done, or I don't know or how long it would have taken me to get to the top with a 50-pound pack.
Yeah, it's off trail and straight up.
Yeah, there was no trails in this place either. That's what most people don't realize, is it was just sagebrush that was as big as you, and you had to walk around the whole time. Because you may only walk 2 miles, but you had to walk 3 miles because you were literally zigzagging back and forth across the sagebrush up a hill.
Yeah, it's 3,000 to 4,000 vert or 3,000 vert to the top, and it's straight up.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like you say, you're zigzagging back and forth, and walking around that sage is it takes it out of you, and it's all loose, too.
Yep.
It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You know, you can't just pound out miles on a trail. So we drove around, got to the other side of the mountain, and we figure, okay, we're going to do a light assault up there. And so instantly from our climbs, you start ditching gear, and all of a sudden the stove's out, the gas is out, all of a sudden we're sharing a tripod. Where you get that minimalist mindset real quick in the backcountry.
Yeah, oh yeah. Once you do one, it was good that we did like a practice hike, because it was just like, oh, I don't need this, I don't need extra socks, I don't need extra underwear, I don't need this, I don't need gloves, I don't need all this stuff. And then I was like, I don't think I'm going to have any hot meals while I'm up there. Just slowly. That's like a pound I don't need. But
Yeah, we started ditching gear and going ultra light, but the one thing that we could not skimp on was water.
Yeah.
Like there was no water on the top of that mountain.
Nowhere
anywhere.
near. Yeah, it was like 1,500 foot drop to the water.
At least.
Yeah,
it was crazy. You
and
know?
it was all covered in cow crap too.
Yeah.
It was like we walked by one and we're like, oh, this is our closest water, and it was just cow infested. Just,
the one water hole that we walked by. Yeah, you're gonna catch AIDS from that.
Yeah,
water
you're not. I'm not drinking no water out of that.
Yeah,
so.
Cows have been in there, so we ditch all our gear. But to bring enough water for 3 days, I think you brought 200 ounces.
Yeah.
I think I went for 160.
Yeah.
And 160 ounces. Let's see, my math. What is 10 pounds of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so you had about 12 pounds of water. I had 10 pounds. Like that makes your pack a lot heavier. And that exertion level, like it's one thing to climb a mountain. It's another thing to climb it with 40 pounds on your back.
Yeah.
Like that puts it on you.
And I didn't realize the next day, because both those days that we had climbed, we had started, right around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then that next day we started at 6. And I had drank so much water from the day that we were up top, and it was just like, oh, this is what it's like to be in the Nevada high country. Because I started feeling my lips dry out, and my forehead was getting red, and I was just like, you can't get away from it. You were just hiding up underneath every bush you could see, or any little rise that would provide any sort of shade. You were just subconsciously just finding yourself hiding in those things. So.
Right. Well, and, I've said on the podcast before that I can survive off 32 ounces, but it's all about the temperature and the exertion level. Like, I can live off 32 ounces if I'm playing the shade game and I'm glassing basins and then, maybe make a play on a buck. But up there, we're just going for it. Covering country. It's hot. You're really close to the sun up at 10,000 feet.
Yeah,
it's
the thing
beating on you.
The thing about it is most people don't realize it may say it's 84 degrees, but that sun brings it up. I mean, we were looking online, and it was saying it was like 78 degrees or something ridiculous. And you're like, there is absolutely no way that we're anywhere near that, just because it was you could just feel the moisture leaving your body. Just because you were just drying out. And
like 80 plus degrees is what I had on mine. But there was, I don't know that sun heats up that ground in Nevada too. Like I've never seen that ground just soaks it up. I don't know if it's the dirt or those rocks, but it's just radiating off the ground. Yeah. Like it's, I relate it to construction, and you've done construction, like being up on a roof.
Oh, yeah, same thing.
It may be 80, 90 degrees, but that sun reflects off that black tar shingles, and it's actually, when you're up on that roof, it's like 120 and you're pouring sweat. Well, it's that same feeling in Nevada. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I've been overseas in Kuwait, and, it was hot there, but whenever you go from 5,000 feet to you're at 10,000 feet, you're up next to the sun. That's what I kept telling everybody. Where are you going? I'm like, up next to the sun. I'm going to get as high as we can, I guess. And, that year at TAC, my lips actually got sun poisoning, like exploded, like in the middle. And that's why I brought chapstick the whole time I was up there, because it didn't matter if I wore that boonie hat the whole time just to try to keep the sun off of me, and it didn't matter. I think I got sunburnt through my shirt at one point. Like I was just feeling like my skin was tender, and I was like, I got to talk to Sitka and see if we can get some UV ray protection on some of this clothing, because it was getting warm up there. But
it's brutal. Well, every hunt has its challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And you get there, and also Nevada, like the stalking conditions weren't that good. Like it was hot and dry. And so
super dry.
We're trying to get 2 people into range. Like, we've got a difficult challenge on our hands. And all of a sudden, like, out of the frying pan into the fire, here we are in Nevada faced with these challenges. So we get up on top, we do this light assault, and we climb up to the ridge, and instantly we find our bucks. They're right where we left them, and now they're walking out, and they're starting to come at us. But we're trying to hunt them on the lee wind side, which I always hate. So the wind is blowing out of the southwest, and we're trying to hunt them on the north side of the hill.
It was just blowing right to them no matter what.
And so even though you got thermals coming up that side, that wind gusts over the top and just circles over there. And so we get up there and find these bucks, and man, I just got to learn my lesson time and time again. Patience kills the buck. Like quality plays, you can't shortcut anything, and you got to have all conditions in your favor. And so we find these bucks, and they're in the perfect spot to kill them, but the wind's bad.
But the wind's bad.
Yep. And so the wind's blowing over top the ridge, and so, you know, you're sitting there for an hour and you're watching them, and we're back and forth. Oh, maybe we could do this. Oh, maybe we do that. And finally we decide, that's a pretty good play to leave you there. You're a couple 100 yards, and you're going to film from afar so we don't make that much noise. And I'm going to go work in, and they're right over the ridge line. Like, I can sneak over the ridge and shoot them. They're 50 yards. Yeah. And so there's a couple bucks in there that we shoot that had really good frames on them. And so I start going around, and then what I'm trying to do is I'm on the backside of the ridge. It's blowing over the top, but I'm trying to play left or right of the bucks, so hopefully my wind's going, you know, left of the bucks, and I'm in front of them, and I get my shot, or right of the bucks. I have learned my lesson on this probably 20 times. It never works, or it hardly ever works. Like, and you're just risking spooking all those bucks and losing your opportunities. And I did it again. Here I am. I close into 100 yards. I'm trying to play left of the bucks, and I've kind of got a right to left wind. Like, I think I'm okay. It's quartering. Like, I think I'll be all right. But that wind comes over the top and swirls. Pretty soon those bucks win me. Yeah. They take off and relocate.
Well, I realized real quick that they were in certain spots, and it wasn't for no reason. Like, they knew that it was just them adapting to their habitat, but they knew that they were going to have, you know, a southwest wind 90% of the time, and they were always right up next to the top, like, no matter what. So that way that the thermals from that northwest side or northeast side would never suck the scent up. Like, it was always blowing toward them no matter where they were at. Yeah, you couldn't make a play on them, you know, 90% of the time, and just sitting there watching them, and you're just like, come on, give me a break here.
Well, their instincts are so good, right? Yeah. They bed in safe places is what you're talking about. So they'll bed in places where they can see all the way to the bottom, the wind's swirling over the top. Like a mountain lion's got a real challenge to sneak up on those things because they're going to wind them or see them. And same thing for us hunters. They bed in safe places. Like, you know, they don't get 4, 5, 6 years old by being stupid. Like, they bed in smart places where they don't get shot. So, and if we could just find one on that strong wind side.
Oh yeah, it would have been over the first day, but it was just they just weren't there.
No, and so I spooked the bucks. There's a gray 4-point that comes over the top. We kind of make a play on him. He's in the open, and it's right last light. And again, it's just it's not this methodical, planned out, slow and patient. Like, I started scooting to him, and man, that Sitka gear, I think that's the best camo going, man. You know, I've always said it's not the camo, it's the movement that animals catch.
But now
you can get away with more wearing that. We were wearing that subalpine, and man, I'm not making this up, guys. Like, I can just get away with more. I can get away with more movement. I can get away with being still. They don't pick me out. Like, a lot of reasons, the buck we killed, like, Sitka gear saved me on that stalk. I was within 100 yards, and I had a buck stand up and stare right at me, and I was frozen, standing straight up in the sage. You know, I'm just a humanoid standing there, but I'm in that subalpine. And that buck looked at me, and I was frozen for 5 minutes. And finally, my legs are shaking, and they're kind of spread apart. And I go, God, I gotta make them. I can't stay still anymore. Like, I can't hold this yoga pose any longer. And so I crouch down as slow as I can possibly move, like the hands of the clock. I slow down and crouch down, and I finally get to a knee, and I just stay still. And that buck just puts his head down and starts feeding like he never saw me. Like, I can just get away with more. It's more forgiving using it. And bucks are still going to catch you moving. Like, it's not a fix-all, be-all. Like, you can't just wear Sitka and walk across the hillside and shoot a deer. Like, it doesn't work that way. But I can get away with more. Like, it's more forgiving, you know.
It almost happened that way.
Right.
That's I've been a big solid guy for a long time, and then I bought subalpine last year. I used it in spring, and then we used it on this hunt. And, I mean, Brian's not really telling that buck was in the wide open on the second day up in the mountains. And we were just looking at one another. We're like, wonder what's going to happen, you know? Like, what's the worst that can happen?
He was going to spook no matter what.
He was going to spook no matter what. Like, whenever we had to go to our camp, it was toward that way. And Brian just started scooting toward him. And we started off at, 370, and then you ended up at, 110 yards from him. Mm-hmm. And it was just getting too dark to film and getting too dark. And it was just you more than likely could have just scooted right on in there, but it was one of them things when you're trying to capture a film. And I mean, it was honestly mind-blowing. Like, if you're not a believer in that stuff, just watch this video and you'll see, slid right toward these deer, and they just look up, and then he would stop moving, and then they would come right. I mean, you can just get away with way more stuff, because there was a couple times whenever we were stalking in on that buck in the sage, and they were looking at me too, and I was just sitting there, and I would just sit down slowly, and then they would just I don't know if it's just calms them or what, but it just makes it. I mean, I don't think we could have done it without that stuff. So.
Yeah, and like I say, like I'm not making it up. It's not a fix-all, be-all. You still have to be a skilled hunter, but you can just get away with more. It breaks up your outline. Oh, yeah. And all of a sudden, they can't pick you out in that stuff, and it blends in perfect. Oh, yeah. Like try to glass somebody up there in subalpine and try to find them in that country.
I walked past you a couple times, and I was like, I was 10 feet away from you. You're just sitting there. I'm like, oh, there's Brian, just hiding away in the rocks. But
yeah, well, so we got close to that buck. It was just getting too late, and it was one of those deals where I didn't want to have to take a long shot. They were wary in there, and so we backed out on those things. Start again the next day, and we're trying to relocate those bucks. And we put on some good miles, good elevation, and come over the hill and spot 3 bucks, and 2 of them are the shooters, and then they're with another smaller buck.
Yep.
And so we're over the ridge, and we're watching these bucks, and we watch them for an hour and a half. Now, again, they're on the lee wind side, and so we're just watching them and waiting them. We're going to let them bed, hopefully get some better thermals because they're a little bit farther down the mountain, hopefully be able to play the wind right. And we're sitting there watching them. We take some pictures, some video, and we're just waiting for them. And that one, there was one real wide, big 3-point, and he was a really nice buck, and he was just wary. But pretty soon, the wind got the better of us again, and I thought we were far enough left of them. And, of course, you're always playing hindsight, like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. But
there's really nothing that we could have.
No.
They was going to change, and we both, felt the wind switch for maybe half a second because we just, looked at each other and were like, oh, there they go. Like we knew before. Like they lifted their head up, the wind just stopped for just a millisecond. You're like, oh, well, they got it.
Yep. So they were 200 yards away. We were watching them, trying to let them bed. We'd been in that position for a long time, and they hadn't winded us. But all of a sudden, you just get a little bit of your scent, and all of a sudden, they're spooking and they're going. Yeah. And so we watch them go across this huge drainage, and then they get on the far side of it, and they just hold up. Yep. Like, they don't want to cross this next basin into the open side, so they're just looking back in there. And only the one buck caught our scent, I think. Yeah. And so they're super wary, but we sit there in the sun just baking for 2 hours just watching these things, and they never bet. They're just standing there. And pretty soon one beds, and they're starting to kind of calm down, and the wind's right. They're in a good spot. Yeah. We had spooked them, so they're on a little high alert, but it's like, let's roll the dice. Let's see what we can do. There's a couple shooters in there, and so we work all the way around these bucks. We get a good wind, and now we get the stocking shoes on. We get to make a play on them, and so we start creeping over the hill. You did good. We were totally silent, and we start coming over the rise, and all of a sudden the bucks aren't where they are, but I spot the horns of one, and he's down there. And so we're back and forth and saying, I think he's bedded there. I can see his horns. He's by this tree, and we're trying to make our plan, and we're trying to, it's another degree of difficulty when you're trying to get something on film too. And you're taller than me. You're not you're not built 5'8" like me, And so you stick up a little bit higher, and so you really got to crouch down on these stalks. But we creep in, and I start getting this buck into range. Like I think I get into about 60 yards on this buck, and we're trying to just get a shot, figure out where he's at. We're trying to get it all worked out. And all of a sudden, the buck's just onto us. He's been looking our direction, but we never skylined ourselves. We never exposed ourselves. Like, I don't know what happened, if he was just wary, if he heard something, maybe caught a gust of our wind, who knows. But he kind of walks away from us. And so we try to catch him, or try to just get sight of him over the ridge, and they're gone. Those bucks leave country.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what – I mean, they're just hypersensitive stuff that you can't really explain. Like I've been next to mountain goats and sheep and all this other stuff, and there's just something like a high country mule deer is like basically hunting an antelope on the prairie, but it's it's way steeper. Mm-hmm. So
well, they're hyper aware. Yeah. Like you're saying, that's why I think they're one of the toughest trophies, the most sought after trophies in the West, especially with a bow and arrow. Like they are so difficult to kill. They're trying to, they've evolved from thousands of years of avoiding mountain lions, and those things are as switched on as any animal out there. Like, you watch those bucks, and you can be like a mile away or a few hundred yards. They haven't caught your scent. They haven't been hunted this entire year. There's no humans around, which is really nice.
Yeah,
we
there
had
was
it all to
nobody.
ourselves. Yeah, because there's no water up there. You can't live, and it's a push to get back in there. So we spooked that buck, but you're right about being hyper aware. They're constantly like looking up, turning their heads, they're watching. Sometimes they'll stare in a direction for 15 minutes. Yeah. And there's nothing around. There's no predators, there's no danger, but as being a sought after game species, or just their evolution or what they've become, they're hyper aware, constantly looking around for danger. And so it's not only the buck you want to kill, it's the other bucks that are with them too.
They're the ones that make it difficult. It's the younger ones, because they're always up on their feet, always doing something, just looking around, and that's what the weird thing was on that stock, is just that one buck. He just was up the whole time. The other two laid down, and this one buck literally just stood and stared in our direction for 2.5 hours or something, before they ended up moving. Before we started that stock, they were just staring right in that one direction, and he never took so much as a step. Like, all 4 feet stayed planted and didn't move. So
it's survival for those deer, and they do. They're patient. They look for danger. They don't make many mistakes. Like, their life depends on it. Depends on picking up that predator moving in on them. And so they're switched on. And I appreciate their instincts so much and how difficult they are to kill. And they're always challenging. And in each different habitat and country, you have different challenges. And in this one, it was tough stalking. But so we spot that buck. We spot some other bucks, some smaller bucks, pass on a couple smaller threes. And then we work way out the ridge, and we look around. And so we glass and hunt up there for a while. And we just can't turn up any more shooters. Those bucks don't turn out. And so, we've got to change our plan of attack. We've got to pack up our camp, and we gotta head back down to the truck. We got to relocate, and we got to start over.
Yeah. That's what it wasn't anything that we did. It's just they just weren't there. The number of bucks. 13 bucks to some people's a lot, but whenever we looked over, about 5 miles of ridge line, and we only seen 15 bucks total. It was like, man, we're gonna run out of plays here soon.
Yep.
So.
And we probably saw 20, 30 bucks, just a lot of smaller ones. Yep. Couldn't find the shooters we were looking for, and they just weren't everywhere. Like, you had to look over a lot of drainages to find the one you want. And so we got to start over, and so we head back down. We kind of make a game plan for what we're gonna do. And so we're driving to relocate, and so we're driving through, and there's as we're driving through, we've got our Onyx running the whole time, and all of a sudden we spot these bucks. And these bucks are in this sage flat, and they're working this public ground. And so all of a sudden we're down on the valley floor, but we're in this huge sage flat that's all public ground, and there's some alfalfa fields around, and it's like, beggars can't be choosers. If I could see a shooter buck, whatever it takes, like, I'll stalk him down there as well. And like I told you, I said, I'll crawl through that sage, whatever it takes to try to kill a buck. And so we're just driving to relocate to another trailhead, and we spot out, and we glass 2 shooters, one really wide one, and then one really tall one. Yeah. And they're on public ground. And we kind of make a play on them that day, and it doesn't work out. And so we decide we're going to camp there before we head back into the mountains, and we're going to take a look at them in the morning, see if we can't relocate them and bed them. And now we're in a different habitat, but they're still mule deer. They're living in this sage flat, and they're good bucks, and there's nobody around hunting them. We got it all to ourselves. So the next morning we go out, and we glass up that tall buck again, and we try to hang with him, and we watch him just go miles through that sagebrush, and we're just trying to keep an eye on him. Yeah. And we lose him at one point, and then we have to relocate him. And that's where patience kills the bucks. Now we've screwed up a couple stalks. Yeah. We know that, we just can't push it, and all the conditions have to be right to kill this deer. And so we watch him bed down out there, but it's the morning time, the wind's not right, and so we just decide we're not going to make a stalk. We're going to work all the way along the other side of this buck. And so we've got to go, miles and miles and miles around this buck. And so we mark our locations on the map. We mark where we think the bucks are, and we work all the way around them. And so 3 hours later, we find ourselves, and we're on the far side of them with a good wind, and we're just trying to relocate them, but they just disappear in the sage. It's, in places, it's 3 feet tall. They bed down, and they're gone.
Yeah, and I mean, for a long time, we were standing up on the back of the truck and just viewing antler tips. Like, you would just barely see them whenever they would stand up, or the only chance we had to see them was whenever they were moving beds or moving or feeding.
Yeah, when they'd stand up,
Yeah.
we could see them, but when they bed down, they disappear, and it is flat as a pancake out there. There is no feature whatsoever, and so we work around to the good wind side, and we relocate these bucks. I think you spotted them out there.
Whenever we drove around, it was just there was one skyline, and I just like, oh, there they are.
Yep.
And we stopped, and sure enough, that big tall buck was standing there, and it's just pure luck to a certain extent where we were working that whole road and just standing up and glassing, and then finally we were driving in between spots and just like, oh, there they are.
Yeah, so the deal was there was, like, let's say there's a road on the north side, and the wind's blowing north to south, and so we spotted those bucks and watched them go out miles out into the sage, and we find another road that's all the way on the other side of them out there, and it's BLM, and I mean, it's just a sage flat for miles and miles and miles out there. Like, and they disappear from you. And so, yeah, we had been working it, and we'd stop and we'd glass, and we'd stop and we'd glass, and we'd stop and we'd glass for hours just trying to pick out these bucks. Finally, you spotted them. We have our eyes on them. We wait for them to bed down, and we've got a good wind. Now it's blowing at us. And so we decide, here we go. Let's make a play. And so we started on our stock, and we got a couple 100 yards in. Bucks were standing and bedding, and we're starting to work in. And, man, it's just so still in that morning. Like, the wind is supposed to be 6 miles an hour, but it calmed down to where it's like zero wind. And it is so the ground isn't bad to stalk on if you really take your time, but there's dead sage in places, there's live sage, and you're having to pick your way through it. And so after going and moving in, we cut the distance a little bit, couple 100 yards. We can still see them, and I just came back to you and I said, man, it ain't gonna happen. Like, it's too noisy out here. We gotta be more patient. We gotta wait for the wind to come up, these conditions to get right. And you agreed with me wholeheartedly. And so, as tough as it is to back off of bucks, and you never know what's gonna happen. You could lose them again. They can get up and walk away, and it's tough to find them out in that stuff. And so, but we decide that the conditions aren't right, and we're not gonna kill this buck. We're just gonna move in and spook this buck. And so we go back and we hang out 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just keeping an eye on them. We'll see them bed and get up every once in a while, and you can't tell exactly where they're bedding, but you kind of got the general idea because they're way out in the middle. There's no landmarks. You can't keep track of them.
The only landmarks are like it's the big silver barn on the skyline over there. They're in between us and them.
Yeah, so way off in the distance, 10, 20 miles away in the mirage out there, you could start to see like a silver barn or a group of trees or something, and you'd kind of put them on a line right there and keep track of that line and go, okay, they're in that line. Who knows if they're 400 yards or 800 yards out there, but they're in that line, and so that's how we'd kind of keep track of them. And so we wait for a couple hours, and we're just waiting for that wind to pick up and get where it'll cover our sound a little bit, and so we just wait and wait and wait, and finally, like, the thunder and lightning storms would come in every afternoon in that place. We'd just see them start to build, and when those things come in, the winds would swap around, and so we're trying to time it where we're hunting the heat of the day with a good afternoon wind, but we can't wait too long, or those storms are going to come in, and it's going to blow up our winds, and so we wait for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. And finally, I tell you, I think it's right. Like, the wind wasn't blowing super hard, but it was like a 6 to 8 mile an hour wind. It's still fairly still, but it's just going to cover our sound enough to where we can get in on this buck. And so we start making our play, and we start tiptoeing through the sage and making our way through it and stalking these bucks. And this is one of the tougher stalks I've made. Like, it is flat as a pancake. There's 4 bucks. They keep getting up periodically. They're tough to keep track of.
and we just start picking our way and tiptoeing through this sage, and that slow, methodical, thought-out play, like this is what we're doing on these bucks. And so we start picking our way through there, and pretty soon we get close enough where, it's I get caught by that buck like we had talked about earlier. Like I was maybe, 100, 150 yards, maybe 200 yards at that point. But that buck stands up, and I'm caught in the wide open. And it's like he's looking in my direction, and eventually I've got to kneel down. But the ground is so hot. Like the ground feels like it's 150 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
Like you talk digging holes for you were digging the dirt so that it wouldn't burn your legs as your legs were laying on it.
Yeah, that's what whenever I was kneeling, just waiting for them. Because I would sit down periodically, and then as soon as I would sit down on my hind end, the deer would stand up, and then you'd have to get back up and then hit record, just make sure everything was in focus. And finally I just sat on my knees and just sat there and waited and waited and waited. And I was just digging holes and making sure I wasn't. I think it's just the rocks were just soaking up so much heat that it was, whenever you put your knees on them, it was like you were sticking a cast iron skillet to them.
Oh my gosh. It was so hot. It was burning my hands, and you wrap your sleeve over your hands, but every time you put your hand down, it burned it. And my knees are still sore today from the heat of that ground. So you held up at 150, 200 yards, something like that, and then I crept in solo in there. And so I'm just crawling and then trying to pick my way through the sage. I had to earn every single yard on those things.
It was an absolutely amazing stalk. Like I've never seen someone do what you did successfully. There were so many times where they were just like, I was like, oh, he's busted, and then they would just wouldn't, and they would just lay back down. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And it was just, that was just to your due diligence where you're just taking it easy. And there was times that I was watching you, and it was looked like you literally weren't even moving, but you were moving forward like a slug almost. But that's the best way to be.
So slow. And I didn't get too excited, right? I've stalked enough muleys where I know they pick up on movement. So when they'd stand up, or I just stop moving, I'm hidden in the sage, and I know when to stop and when to move. And I just didn't get too excited. At one point, two of those bucks are standing, and I'm at, long bow range, but I just know it's not right. I'm not going to poke my head up. I'm not going to try to get a range. I'm not going to try to knock an arrow and get drawn. Like they're looking my way. Like I'm just going to hold tight. And so that slow, methodical play, and just knowing that they didn't have me caught. I wasn't busted. Like I just need to stop and just wait. And so super slow stalk, and like I say, earn every yard, and making my way through this dead sage. I mean, you're in so many different yoga poses, just slipping over the sage and just one leg and one knee and crawling in. And and I finally get into range of these bucks, and they're bedded there and have no idea I'm there. And I get into my range, and I thought about getting closer, but it's fairly still. And I don't want to let these bucks know I'm there. That's when the situation's going to blow up. Right now, I have the element of surprise. They don't know I'm there. Like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to be patient. So I kind of get on a range on the sage around him, and I kind of know roughly what range they're at, but I'm going to have to range him when he gets up. And so I just wait and wait and wait. And one of the 3 points stands up, kind of looks in my direction, and I just wait. I just don't move a muscle. And eventually, what do you think 20 minutes or so? I was sitting there in range, maybe 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And this buck would change beds every once in a while, and finally he gets up. And it's another one of those deals where he's staring right at me when he gets up. And so I don't move a muscle. I don't try to rush and get the shot. I'm in range of this buck. I've got an arrow knocked. I've got a rough range, but patience kills the buck. And I've been in this situation before, and it's just like, I'm not going to move and give myself away. I have the element of surprise. And even though he's looking in my direction, he's just being a buck. He's just being wary and hyper vigilant like we talked about earlier. Like he's just getting around and looking in different directions. And I just need to hold my ground and wait. And finally he turns his head, and I get a range, and he turns around, and now I've got a good range. And he's the outside of where I want to be. He's 64 yards. And turns around, and now I have none of the bucks looking at me. Now's the time I draw my bow, settle my pin, let my pin get on there, and then just put a shot on him. And so I just have to trust that you're doing your job too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, I think the cameraman has a tougher job than the hunter. Like you got to make sure you get them on film, get them on camera, and so you're set up behind me with the tripod. You're burning up in the heat as well, and you've made this whole stock with me on there, crawling.
Yeah,
I think
I ranged in. I was like 150.
Oh, you got close too.
Oh yeah, it was getting weird. It was awesome because it was like I was stalking in with my bow, and it was just cool that. It's just extra practice. That's all that was, and it was pretty awesome just to be that close and then get to watch you. I was watching the camera and watching you at the same time, and I watched you draw your bow back. We couldn't get them both on film just because the way
you couldn't get me drawing my bow and the deer on film.
Yeah, just the way it worked out, but just get to watch the whole thing. Just watch you draw, and then I saw you anchor, and then I started looking at the screen, and then I watched the buck. I just heard whack, watched the buck run, and then I moved the camera over, panned the camera over to where he was standing at, and it just refocused it, and you just watch him just do the cross-legged stumble, and then he just belly up, and I was just like, I was so jacked. It was just like the most awesome feeling. Like I know you were excited, but I think I was honestly more excited than you were. I was just so pumped to actually catch one of those, like just completely on film, and just to be able to, whenever that's what you want whenever you shoot an animal with a bow, is that quick. It was, whenever you watch the video, it's less than 7 seconds. Like from the time he gets hit, from the time he perspires, that's it. Like there was no kicking, there was no nothing. He was just done. So
yeah, well, and a lot of the credit to killing that buck is you. Like, not only is it me stalking in, it's you stalking in as well. You're taller, you're bigger than me, and if you take any shortcuts behind me, like, I'm not keeping tabs on you. Yeah. Like, I'm just trusting you're doing what I'm doing, and then I'm trusting you got things on footage, and you're doing your job. Like, your job is to capture this whole scene, this whole deal. And so, a lot of the reasons we killed that buck is just your diligence, and it's no shortcuts. Like, you're crawling just like me.
Yep.
You're yoga moving just like me, and it's not your tag. You're just trying to capture it on film. Yeah. But one shortcut, we're busted, and that whole scenario blows up. Yeah. And so you did your job behind me. Yeah, I remember I shot that buck. And man, these hunts, they're so challenging and so difficult. I'm telling you, almost every one I'm on, it seems like mission impossible. And I've been successful a couple times this season with the caribou and the mule deer, but when you're in the middle of this hunt and you're 5 days into it, like, it doesn't feel like it's going to come together. Like, it takes mental toughness to just keep pushing and keep looking and trying to earn opportunities. Like I said at the beginning, they're always tougher than you think they're going to be. Yeah. And to try to kill something with your bow and arrow is so difficult. And so when you're in the hunt, like, all of a sudden, it starts feeling like Mission Impossible. It starts feeling like, I don't even know if a human can kill one of these things with a bow. Like, doesn't it start to feel that way?
Yeah, it was like hunting mountain goats.
Yeah.
And then we got down to the valley, and then it was just like, it was a completely different animal. It was just as hard or even more difficult than being, because they were just, those deer were just, they just see people all the time, I guess, farmers and that sort of thing. And it was just all the time. They were just like looking, like just checking. And I actually talked to that older gentleman who's talked about how bad of a coyote problem they have there too. So that could probably be. And then we found that probably 70-inch antelope that was just dead, and you're like, what in the world is going on? It was an antelope that was in his prime. You're trying to figure out what had happened, and that's why those things are so switched on all the time, is just the amount of predators that are in that valley.
Yeah, just hyper vigilant. Well, and there's no feature. There's no, at least in the mountains, you got some ridge lines that'll hide your sound. And so now we're just in the sage flat, stalking in the wide open with no feature. And so, to have it come together, buck turn, put a good shot on them, dead within 7 seconds, and I just soaked it in there. The other 2 3-points came back into range, and the feelings of elation that you get, and I look back and I can see you're smiling just as big or bigger than me, and we were able to do it. We able to harvest a buck in Nevada, walk up, and then the excitement hits me, and I'm shaking, and I'm just thrilled to death. Like, I absolutely love to bow hunt. I love the challenge of it. I love that it seems impossible, and all of a sudden, one stalk, one chance can just change it. And I think a lot of the success on these hunts, I always say, like, you got to get stocks, you got to get opportunities. It isn't just one deer that you find that you kill, very rarely. Like, I need opportunities. And like I was telling you, if we can get a stock a day, we'll kill a buck. Like, I just need chances and opportunities. Like, a lot of hunt in Hawaii, those axis deer are really tough to kill. They're really switched on, but you get chances and you get opportunities, and eventually you get one right. But it's making no shortcuts. It's being patient. It's trying to get all the conditions in your favor. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, it comes together and you got a good arrow in the buck, and, he expires in front of you. And, man, I mean, the footage that we have put together and the storyline and just the whole deal from start to finish is going to be killer to share.
Yeah, because you got to, people got to realize that something's going to go wrong. Like, nothing's ever going to, like, even, I always just laugh because it's just, people get so upset about, like how we had to come back to the house. Like, people could have, that would have ruined their entire trip. Some people, and it's just like, it's whatever, man. Like, we got to stop. We can't worry about every single thing or it'll drive you insane. So
yeah, you roll with the punches really well.
Oh, yeah.
Like I say, I think that's your biggest asset.
Yeah.
For a hunting partner, for a film guy, or creating a team like that, just that positive mental attitude of just, we'd have things go wrong, and all of a sudden we gotta hike miles and tons of elevation and start over and find another buck because we screwed up a stock. But it's not letting yourself get down. It's just going, well, we just got to find another one, what?
Oh, yeah.
All we can do is just keep going, or, but your positive attitude, like, it's going to serve you. It's already served you really well in life. It's going to serve you for the rest of your life, and in all your hunting endeavors, filming endeavors, whatever you're doing. The one thing that you can control is your attitude and your mood, and things are gonna get you down. Like, not everything is rosy, not everything's butterflies and rainbows. Like, stuff messes up, stuff goes wrong. You got a buck that you want to kill so bad, and then it screws up, and he's spooked out of the country, and you got to start over. But it's just about keeping that positive attitude and also embracing the experience of being desert rats out there. We just kind of laugh, and it's just like, well, here we go. We just got to keep grinding, just got to keep pushing. And so, it was just a good fortune that we were able to find those bucks in that sage flat. We were able to earn a stock and an opportunity, and then no shortcuts, and able to play it right and capture that thing. But I'm stoked at the footage we put together, and then the content for the next year. A lot of the photos you grabbed, just next level. It's just going to be awesome to continue to share this hunt and then see all the footage put together, man. I'm really stoked with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I'm watching some of it right now, and just big shit-eating grin on my face because some of the stuff's just pretty awesome. So
it's cool footage, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
We did good. Well, I can't thank you enough, man, just for your effort down there and just diligence and attitude. Like I say, we make a good team. Can't wait to share more hunts with you, and
awesome.
We're going to go explore some more backcountry and get her down again, hopefully.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yep. So right on. Well, thanks a bunch, Logan. We better shut this down, get our truck unpacked, and get a little bit of work done here. You're going to start antelope hunting, and you got some bow tags in your hands for Montana.
Yeah, I got the big three, the elk, deer, and antelope. So we'll see if I can get it done in these short amount of times that I got in between hunts.
And you've got a big deer scouted that you've been excited about, that you hunted all last year, that you're hunting this year.
I've hunted this deer for a long time. I got money invested in this thing because I've spent probably 30 days watching this one little section that I hunt, and he was there last year, and I made a play on him, and he was going to be like 80 something coming over the hill, and they just know there's just something that he had already moved down across the valley into the other side of the shade, and for no reason. Where he was at was in the shade still, and it was just like, come over the hill, and just like, well, smarter than me, bud. And he'll bed out in just the middle of, where we had a play, but it was like he would bed out in the middle of this field back behind your house where there's just nothing you can do. He's just laughing at you. But yeah, hopefully that first of that archery season, I can go up there and spend a couple of days and try to get it done, and maybe have a new state record. Who knows?
He's a good one.
He's
yeah,
a good one.
They do have a sixth sense about him, and yeah, you had a good season last year. You killed an antelope and an elk with your bow, which just is not easy to do. It's so difficult. And then you did kill deer with your rifle. You didn't get the deer you wanted, but
no, that's what I'm kind of dead set on. If I'm going to shoot that deer, it's either he's gonna die of old age, or I'm going to shoot him with a bow. It's like that's just how it is. But yeah, shot antelope first day, and then shot an elk the third day I hunted, and it was just one of them things where preparation really, you got to have the mindset that you're going to be successful, and that you can be. That's what most people like. I had to go into every single stock thinking. I mean, I'm already not really daydreaming about it, but I'm foreshadowing, just drawing my bow back and him standing up and just executing a perfect shot. And if you do that, then a lot of the times it's gonna work out.
Yeah, you got to have confidence in your skills. You got to believe you can kill that animal. You have to believe you're going to make that shot when you draw back. And that just comes to your practice and proving it to yourself and confidence in your skills. So,
sometimes I have too much confidence in myself, but
me too. I think I can kill every deer I see. So well, it's that positive attitude and just like I see an opportunity, and I think I can kill that deer. I always think I can kill that deer. I think I can make it come together. But yeah, it's awesome to share a hunt with you. We got some good hunting coming up, and we're just gonna have to get after it and let the cards fall where they do. But really fun experience, really fun hunt. It was a great adventure, and get a little work done. And man, I can't wait for the next one. So thanks a million. I really appreciate it, man. Follow you at Logan Summers. Right on Instagram.
Yep, at Logan Summers Photo.
Yep, just got some great next level photos on there, and like you say, you're always working on your skills. You're always trying to improve, and I really like hanging out with guys like that. It works good. It's a good team, man.
Yep.
And on to the next adventure.
Yep, I'll see you soon.
All right.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. And girls. I'm sure we have a handful of women listeners. I'd hope, anyways. But yeah, that's a podcast. Really fun sharing that hunt with you guys. Sharing it with Logan. He's a heck of a guy. He did such a great job behind the lens, and I just can't wait to share this footage with you guys. It's unreal. That hunt and this Alaska hunt, I'm just really proud of. So yeah, I can't wait to share it with you guys. Thanks to our sponsor for today's show, Eberly Stock. Make great packs. I've been using their packs here the last couple of years. Used to pack out both of those animals. That response video that Clint Eberly put out is just hilarious. You guys got to check that out. 700 pounds on one of their pack frames. So funny. It's such a great response video too. And so make sure to check out Eberly Stock. They make a great product and a great company. And I really like Glenn Eberly too. He's a great guy. And also Austin Legg, he's a super guy as well. He's been running their social media, or came on with Eberly Stock. He's been doing a super job. I noticed Eberly Stock has more on their social media lately, and really has a good presence. And I think he's a great guy. I did a hike with him one year. But yeah, he's super guy. So make sure to check out Eberly Stock. Thanks to those guys for their support on the podcast. With that, over there at Eastmans, I keep saying it, but everybody's getting ready for their hunts. Can't wait to see what Dan Picard turns up, and some of the other guys there in the office, Guy Eastman, see what he turns up, and just got some fun hunts, and just trying to get out some great content to you guys. Great content through the magazine, great content through the podcast, and then through our video platforms, through the Outdoor channel, and then also on our internet platform, the Beyond the Grid. So we're doing some really cool things, and I'm just so happy that I'm involved with this company and involved in getting out this great content, and I just want to continue to improve and put out the absolute best Western hunting content we can, and then just enjoy my hunts myself. Try to really get out and immerse myself in the woods and immerse myself in the challenge, and so far so good. God dang it, it's just so fun to be out in the woods and out challenging myself and trying to get close. I love the stock. I mean, I will do anything to get a stock, and that's, high country or sage flats, whatever it is, whatever the habitat is, whatever the species. You put my bow in my hands and give me a chance to spot and stock, I am a happy man. And I love how difficult it is, and I love, I guess I just love the challenge of it. So yeah, you can tell I'm still on cloud 9. Leaving for Colorado here in a week. I'm gonna get some work done and disappear again, and I'm gonna hold out for a really nice buck in Colorado. And I'm gonna go either a giant next level buck or nothing. So I'm really gonna take my time. I'm gonna hunt hard and try to find one of those big ones to stick an arrow in and get everything right. So I am absolutely pumped. And this is an extreme backcountry hunt above 13,000 feet, miles and miles back into the wilderness. This is what I live for. This is what I train for all year long. The bow's shooting good. In fact, I got to get out and shoot my arrows today here. I got to get down for a volleyball meeting for my daughter, but then get back and fling my arrows for the day, get in a run here. I got to get my dog out and run. He's pretty upset at me, leaving for these weeks on end. All he does is chase the tennis ball. He doesn't get out for ththese big runs with Dad. So I got to get him out for a run and just try to spend some quality time with my family, laugh and have fun. And I appreciate their support so much on these adventure hunts and things. So, life is good. It's hunting season. Couldn't get any better. And just try to continue to get some quality recordings for you guys. Got a couple podcasts I'm going to try to get done this week. My schedule's a little tight, but try to get them recorded so I've got some content for all these days that I'm gone and chasing critters in the field. So, you guys go hard during hunting season. Persistence is deadly. Just keep trying. Go over that next hill in glass. Put all your effort into it. Try to keep your cool under those high pressure situations. Make sure you give your pin time to settle on that animal. Let that thing settle in and execute a good shot. You just can't ever have those shots back, and it's so tough to execute cleanly under that high pressure. So just make sure you're thinking about it as you're stalking in and thinking about what you're going to do and the steps you're going to take. Let that pin settle, and hopefully you guys arrow some trophy critters. So really appreciate all the support. And check in with you guys next week with another podcast.